Okay, so this is take 2. I tried making a video yesterday and it just wasn't uploading to Instagram. I don't know why, but we're gonna go with it and just assume that today is better timing, divine timing, and maybe I have better information that is going to serve humanity in the greatest ways possible today. So in this video, I'm going to be addressing things I have never talked about before. And yeah, that's kind of scary. I'll be honest with you guys, because as I've talked about before, speaking my truth has not been easy, whether it comes from speaking about like spirituality and different things I've experienced, standing up for myself, holding back. I've done a lot of that my whole life, and what's really interesting, I'm going to be sharing this in this video, is an experience I had with a breathwork session this week, or well, now it's almost a week ago, that really broke through a lot of this, and it was just such perfect divine timing because, yes, everything, all the horrible things that have been happening with like George Floyd, all of that had already happened. So we were kind of aware of certain things going on. But I feel like it really took until like Sunday or Monday of this week for Instagram, for social media to really go full blast into equality and justice, and it's so beautiful and it's so awesome. So it was really cool to see that, because I didn't go into that session with like that intention in mind, but what came out of it was so powerful. And then seeing it now, like as I went into this week, I was like, oh my gosh, this was perfect, because this is helping also me be able to speak these different things for all of you, because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about you guys and helping and serving in the greatest ways possible. But right, I feel like at the end of the day, all of us fall into that of our egos getting in the way of not wanting to say the wrong thing or offend anybody or causing maybe triggers within people. Like, that isn't always fun and it's not always comfortable for us, but I'm gonna dive into that because it's really interesting, and I feel like you guys are gonna really like find it interesting. So I want to talk about a few different things, and we're gonna be talking about too everything that's going on in the world right now, because I feel like as a light worker and as light workers, you guys who are watching this conversation needs to happen. And from this day forward though, I think it's really important for us. Yes, it's great to see like people designating this week to be posting about people of color's businesses, if they're artists, musicians, coaches, like educators, whatever it might be. But the thing is, this isn't just a 1 week thing, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, most people have really great intentions, because at the end of the day, I truly believe we are all genuinely doing the best that we can with the resources that we have. But now it's really more about how can we make lasting change. And I say this because it's really easy for us as humans to go back to old ways of being. Like, think about even things like diets, workout routines, even like relationships. Like, it's so easy for us to go back to what's easier, what we're used to, because that is comfortable. That is, for humans, that fight or flight mechanism. And we're starting to break down that fight or flight mechanism, and it's really cool and it's really fascinating to see. But I think this is really important. How can we now make a lasting impact, a lasting change, rather than just fitting in for the week because we feel like we have to? Like, forget yourself. Like I talked about, it's the hardest thing, but it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the world, all of humanity, and bringing equality for all of us here on earth. So moving forward every week, I am going to be posting at least once a week about a person of color who I learn from, who I follow, who I have found to really help me in my journey, as well as maybe posts that I find relevant, or like artists, musicians, all of it. So I'm going to be doing that, as well as foundations that we can also be donating to or supporting that will continue to assist this ascension of all of us coming together as one and with love. Because I feel like right now there's a lot of emotions, and it's totally valid on all sides. Like, I've been seeing people like getting really angry, really heated, attacking people, but then I've also been seeing beautiful things, like people coming together, people supporting one another, having these conversations, listening. And that's what I'm asking for us to do, right? You guys know I am about love and listening and supporting one another, and realizing like it's not just about us, like yourself, it's about everybody. And we came back down to earth right now in this moment for that. We came back down to earth to assist in this time. Times are a-changing, and it is really exciting, but I know it's scary at the same time because there is a lot of uncertainty going around. What's going to happen next? Is there going to be a race war? Is there going to be a civil war? Like, there's a lot of that fear, but what I can say is when we focus on that fear, we're welcoming that into our physical reality. So why not instead we focus on, what if through this, everything that's happening, look at how amazing this is. The entire world is reacting to this. The entire world has been coming together to peacefully protest and to share and to educate and to listen, and it's so beautiful. So why not we focus on, what if this is the peaceful transition that we needed, instead of there's gonna be some chaotic thing? Because what good really comes from violence and war? Like, not much, right? And so the more we can focus on the positive, because it's not to say to like turn a blind eye, I don't mean it in that sense, but like we can see this going on right now, bringing like justice to race and equality for all. So we could see it in the sense of, oh my gosh, there has to be like a race war or a civil war, or we could see it as, what if everybody just like shut up and listened to one another? And what if there was like quick, immediate changes that happen? And I know like change takes time, especially like at this level. It's going to be big change that is going to take time, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? So that's really important for us to focus on. Where is our intention in all this? Where are we putting our energy? And if there is fear, why? Why are you fearful? And just, that's a great, perfect time to do the shadow work. So moving forward though, I do want to address this too. I am not an expert in certain things that I'm going to be talking about. I feel as if, and I feel like none of us are experts. We're always learning. We're always growing. But I feel as if I'm really good at, and my mission here is to, one, use my intuition to help you tap into your intuition, but also to guide you in the greatest ways, the path of your highest good. But I'm really, really here to help you break down the blocks, the limiting beliefs, the karmic energy, the old cycles, all of that, so you can transcend into the highest aspect of yourself. I could talk about that all day long. I could talk about spiritual topics all day long, but you know what? These are spiritual topics, so we're talking about it. But I know I will probably say things wrong, right? We're all learning right now. So if there's something I could say better, I would really love for you to send me a DM, and I'd love to have that conversation, because I'm learning as well, just as you guys are, just as everybody is, and I'm not a perfect person either. So I would love to have that conversation, but I would also love to have that conversation in a way that is balanced, because I'm open. I want to hear, I want to learn all of it. So, and that's something that's really important for all of us, just as a reminder, because I have seen in my news feed a lot of people like attacking one another, whether you're a person of color, a white person, like whatever. I've been seeing it going like on all levels, and I feel like that is starting to take away of the purpose of everything that's going on in the world. So that's going to be important. So this is going to be stuff I have not talked about, and that, like I said, it's a little uncomfortable. Not talking about race, that doesn't make me uncomfortable. What makes me uncomfortable is talking about the systems of the world and the power and the greed, and I'll dive into that now. So I've talked about this, I've shared this with you guys. I have seen many past lives of mine, and if you haven't heard of past lives, if you're not familiar with them, if you don't believe in them, totally cool. But I'm just going to share this with you guys to give you a little bit of background if you aren't really familiar with them, but you believe in them. I believe we've all lived many lives, and we come back down to earth to learn. Think of earth as a school, or I think of it as a school. And I believe that every time we come down, think of going to college. You choose a major, therefore you're going to take different classes based upon that major. So let's say like I was in pre-med, so okay, I took science and math classes primarily, but maybe the next time I decide to go to college, I'm going to be a history major, like so on and so forth. So you're gonna take different classes. So think of your life in that sense. Every time you come down to earth, you are playing a different role. You have a specific like life theme or lessons you want to learn and overcome. You're gonna choose specific people to invite into your life to help you to reach that goal. You are going to live in a different demographic, a different area. You are going to choose to be a male or a female. Usually we have been many, like, I've seen myself as a male, I've seen myself as a female. You're gonna be different races. I've seen myself in just about every race you can imagine, religions, all of it. So every time we come down to play a specific role, so we can learn to the highest capacity this time around. So we can someday get our quote unquote doctorate. So as I've shared with you guys, I have seen many lifetimes, and I've seen one life that I lived a full life. In every other lifetime, almost every lifetime that I've seen like one that I just like died of like the flu or pneumonia, something. But every other lifetime I was killed. And it wasn't fun to see, okay? And I've had these fears since I was a little girl of people breaking into my house and killing me, of dying young, of being persecuted for speaking my truth. I have struggled with speaking up, as I've talked about, out of fear of hurting other people, out of fear of what are people gonna say, out of fear of being killed. Like, what? Why would I have that fear, right? And it's coming from past lives. So in this breathwork session, I went into it with the intention of, I want to break through essentially that, of feeling as if I'm dimming my light, not fully showing up out of fear of making other people uncomfortable, out of fear of what other people are gonna say, and it was affecting myself, my personal life, my business life. And so that's what the intention I went into it. And through the breathwork, if you ever had a breathwork session, it's like intense but awesome. And it was like this part of me that felt as if I was being like torn apart in a sense, and it was like just a lot, and it was a lot of pain and a lot of emotion, and it cleared though. Like, I felt this block in my throat, and finally at the end it finally cleared, and I felt that block before. So this was perfect timing for everything that's going on in the world and really stepping into my truth on a whole new level, because there is a lot of important things that are going to be coming up with this Ascension, the 2020 vision, like change, massive change. And I don't think up until that moment I was fully ready to speak, because I was afraid of being judged, the extremes of being killed. Like, I've done my research. There's a lot of spiritual people, or not even necessarily spiritual, but like, well, maybe they probably were spiritual. I've done my research. There's been chiropractors in Germany who found cures to autism, and 12 of them just so happened to commit suicide. And a doctor in New York City who even published a book about this cure for cancer, and that they were working on their patients. The government found out this person refused to give the government their like information, or like quiet their voice, and coincidentally, this person died because their car hit a telephone pole. I saw another family out in Arizona who I think it was a cure to Lyme disease, or they were treating Lyme disease, and they were openly saying they found a cure for it. All of them were killed, the whole family, the husband and wife, the child, like, so I've seen these things. So when you might say, oh, that's not a thing, like, it is. It is a thing. Have you watched, oh, my mind's blanking, Joe Rogan with, I'm like obsessed with this episode too. Well, anyways, this guy worked with like an area, whatever, my mind, like, why is my whole mind is blanking about this. Like, I talk about this all the time. But he came out saying he was working on spacecrafts back in like the 80s, and his life was like completely torn apart from speaking out about these things. So these things are real, and this is why I've been afraid, because I've had certain experiences already that have kind of freaked me out, I'm not gonna lie. But like, seeing that experience in that breathwork session, it was like, no, I've got this. Like, this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to assist in the Ascension, and it is going to sometimes involve exposing the corrupt systems of the world, of the greed and the power that have been around for far too long, that have been controlling all of us and wanting us to be and stay divided. And we need to talk about these things now, because that is the only way we're going to break through it now, is finally stopping ourselves from turning the blind eye to it. And that's why it's so exciting to see all of these people, really, like, I feel like the whole world, talking about what happened with George Floyd and how things finally need to change, because people are finally not just shutting off their TV, not just silencing, not turning a blind eye to it. People are angry, and we're starting to say things, wake up. And I do believe some of it too is every generation that comes in is becoming more and more aware. So it's easier for us to tell the difference between love and fear or hate, because at the end of the day, this is what it's about: love and hate. What are you choosing? And if you're choosing to turn a blind eye to different things, at the end of the day, even though you're not intentionally doing it, we're still kind of choosing hate, right? So speaking our truth is the hardest thing, but it is the most important thing right now, because what has happened is we have, in a sense, become like zombies or puppets. Puppets is a better word. Puppets to the mainstream media, puppets to these people in power who have been in power for very long, and it's just about them making more money. And it's not to say every person in politics, every person in the media, every person in like movies, all that, it's not to say they're all bad, because there's a lot of good, amazing people out there. But there's also this corrupt system that I have been shown, and it's been very hard for me to talk about because I know it's going to trigger a lot of people. I know that, but the thing is, if it triggers you, you have to start to ask yourself, why does it trigger you? Like, I've been attacked at times of like, this is garbage, like, this is wrong, like, conspiracies, and it's like, we have to start to ask ourselves, why are we so quick to also say it's garbage? Why aren't we saying that about the fact that every news station is playing the same script again and again and again every single day, and it's never positive, it's always bad? Why are we so quick to believe that? Why are we so quick to believe the politicians, to believe our favorite people we follow who are actors and actresses? Why is it so easy for us to believe them? But these things that might maybe actually make some sense, it's hard for us to even acknowledge the fact that there's still racism in the world. It's hard for us to acknowledge that, yeah, maybe women aren't at a place where they're fully treated the same, that the LGBTQ community is still receiving backlash and all of it. Like, there's still so much divide in this world. And why has it been so easy for us to turn a blind eye to it? So it's really important for us to now start to ask ourselves these tougher questions. It's really important for us to now start to become aware of the fact that there's people making money off of this divide, and that when we're divided, we're being distracted by what's actually going on behind the scenes, right? So at the end of the day, I feel like as humans, we want unity and we want love, but it's also very easy for us because we have been brought up in a society where media tells us what we should look like, what our relationship should be like through movies, and like we don't realize how much even watching a movie starts to affect how we see ourselves in the world. So why this is all kind of, in a sense, part of an agenda, I truly believe. Like, even things like, I mean, you could use this as an example of like, why are divorce rates so high now? And start to think about like, well, what is on the television? Like, what is shown? And I mean, I also have I think there's a spiritual side of it of like, sometimes like one partner isn't going to be growing, or you guys just grow, and as you grow apart. Like, there's definitely a spiritual side of things, but we have to start to think about that. Why is it that there's so many movies and like media and religion has always talked about money being bad, when at the end of the day, the same people who are like instilling this within us are also the wealthiest people, and not all of them, but a majority. So it's really interesting, because if we had as much money as some of these people, we would be doing really great things, wouldn't we? So people are starting to wake up. Even you could use the example of that whole Jeffrey Epstein documentary. He was able to buy his way out of going to jail for life in the early 2000s. In 2019, he was going to jail for the rest of his life. He was busted. And of course, he committed suicide when it's like, how did that even happen? I'm not saying he didn't commit suicide, but why did the guard just happen to fall asleep? Why did the cameras just happen to not work? Why is it that it appears that his jaw was damaged or something was damaged to maybe start to question that maybe he didn't die exactly as how they said he did? Like, there's these things that are becoming more and more obvious to us, and it's because the veil is lifting. We are shifting from 3D to 5D, and what the fifth dimension is going to really do is bring that harmony, that instant manifestation, the pure love, unification to the planet. So as we're breaking through, it's like the earth is literally breaking open. Think of an earthquake and just chunks of the earth and lava pouring through it, because the earth has to clear herself from this, in a sense, garbage, so we can come together as one in unity. So it's uncomfortable, and it's gonna be at times scary and cause us to really go out of our comfort zones at times, but at the end of the day, we have to expose this, in a sense, bullshit, excuse my language, but it is, for there to finally be peace and love on the planet. But now I ask you, as you do that, to remind yourself, am I just reacting, or am I acting from a place of balance and love? Because if we're just reacting, right, think of, we've all been guilty of this, saying something out of anger in the heat of the moment, and then like an hour later, we're like, shoot, there was a better way. So we don't want to have that regret. So we always want to make sure before we're posting, before we're speaking, before we're sharing, before we're standing up for something, what is my intention behind this? Am I acting from a place of fear or from a place of love? Am I acting from a place of rage because of the corruptness of the world? Or am I acting more from a balanced place because I know that there's corruptness, but I also know that change can happen, right? So it is finding that center within us, because when we can do that, that's how we're going to make the lasting change. And when we can do that, we're going to come together, and us coming together is the scariest thing for these people, because they can no longer brainwash us into being these kind of, just like I said, puppets to whatever you say, master, is what I'm going to do. And like I said, this is not about politics. This is about every single system, from the pharmaceutical, from the government, from the film industry, movie industry, from like Wall Street, all of it. It's all interconnected, and it's like this underground government. And I know for some of you, you're gonna be like, she's nuts, but I know a lot of you are gonna really resonate with that. And I feel like the more you search and look into these things, a lot of things just don't make sense, or a lot of things are starting to tie together. So that's hard for me to talk about, but I know now that it's really important to be sharing these things for us to just continue to open our eyes. It's not to invoke fear within us. It's to help us find the greatest ways to come together as one. Help us work through the karma, work through the different energies within us, the fear, the worry, all of that, so we can bring that quote unquote, in a sense, heaven to earth. So there can be equality, harmony, unity, and love for every single one of us. And so moving forward, I will be sharing more about these different topics, stuff that I've learned throughout the years, but also stuff that I'm going to continue to learn about and educate myself on. A really great audio book that on Audible that I'm listening to right now is Me and White Supremacy, and it's a really good book. And I'm not gonna lie, it's triggered me. And I mean, she says in it, it's gonna trigger you, because I'm like, yeah, there's certain things that I'm like, but I didn't like choose to be born into this, and different things like that, like ego stuff. But as you work through it, it makes a lot more sense. And you start to learn to see things from another person's perspective, because we've all lived different lives, right? We chose to all play a different role. And that's beautiful, because it's all for the greater picture. Think of a puzzle. We're each an individual piece to this puzzle, and maybe separately, like each piece looks a little bit different. It's a little bit of a different shape, maybe different colors, design on it, but all together, when we all come together, it creates this beautiful picture. And that's what we're here to do now. Every one of us come together, share our experiences, share what we're naturally good at, share our likes, share our dislikes, so we can create the greatest earth for all of us. And it's going to need to take some change, because the systems do have to change. At the end of the day, they do. We can't just wave a wand and things change. I wish, but we're here to learn as well. But so how can we do this in the most like balanced, love-filled way possible? We're gonna make mistakes, we're human, but that's part of the journey. How can we forgive ourselves? How can we forgive others? How can we see each other with grace and realize we're all doing the best that we can, and every person we brought into our life is here to teach us something. Whether we had a good experience with them or not, they have taught us something. And a lot of times those hardest, worst experiences have actually teaching us the greatest lessons. So it's really important right now for us to find ways to come together, because the ascension is happening. The veils are being lifted. We're starting to see the shadiness behind the scenes that maybe we haven't seen before, or that maybe certain people have seen and they have been labeled as crazy to the media. It's opening. Things are opening up, the veil is lifted, and this is all part of the ascension. So you're exactly where you need to be. You chose to be here, but now it's more of how can you be the best version of yourself so you can serve the earth in the greatest ways possible. So you can serve all of humanity in the greatest ways possible. Through this, through us coming together, that's when the beauty is going to happen. That's when the change will finally take place. Forgetting what the media is showing, forgetting the hate, forgetting the divide that they're trying to instill within us. And why don't we just get to know each other? See each other from a place of love, once and for all, and make some things happen. That is what we're here to do now. We're here to add value, love, forgiveness, understanding to the planet. When we can come together, nothing is going to stop us. So to wrap things up, I thank you guys for listening, and I'm sending you guys so much love, and I'm here to support you if you have any questions, even if you just want to like vent or talk, I'm here. And like I said before, if there's anything you feel like I could have said better, if you are a person of color, I would love to hear from you, and I would love to hear your perspective and how maybe I could word things better. And like I said, I do want to shout out some beautiful people today. So first things first, I want to shout out Patrice Washington, because she is somebody who has helped me in my journey literally since I started my business, following her, listening to her podcast, and she has really helped me to shift how I view money, how I view my business, and help me, like her saying says, like chasing passion, not money. But through that passion, you're able to bring in more abundance than you could ever imagine. She is amazing. The work that she does is life-changing. It has changed the game for me. It has changed how I view money, wealth, all of it. So I recommend checking her out. I will tag her below. And also shout out to my beautiful friend Sarah Cohen, who I did the breathwork session with, and I will tag her below as well. She has put together a fundraiser for the Loveland Foundation, and what it's essentially doing is helping Black girls and women have access to therapy and healing services. Her goal is to raise $5,000 by August. So if you feel called to, definitely check out her page, that foundation, all the amazing things it's doing in this world. And if you feel called, we would love for you to donate to that cause. But I'm sending you guys so much love. I'm always here to support you. And like I said, it's not about me. It's not about you. Like, this is now about humanity. So when we can kind of get out of our own way, get out of our ego, fear of what we're going to say wrong or what we're going to do wrong, and realize that this is bigger than just us, so much bigger than just us, that is when you're going to be able to make that change or that impact in your community. So reminding ourselves it's not about us, it's about humanity. It's about love. It's about freedom. It's about unity. And through that, we're going to see the change, and it's going to be a whole new world in a much better way than we could ever imagine. So I'm sending you guys so much love. I hope you're having a wonderful day.